Kieran should look pleased, but I know his troubled look is for me. I have to speak to our new company about fuck knows what for 6.5 minutes, not him, not this time. So what is it about Pecha Kucha that makes people think it's a good idea to do their own? Fans of the format say they love to look at the pictures and listen to someone talk about them. They don't want death by PowerPoint anymore. They want a new way of presenting that is quick, informal, and preferably from somewhere cool like Japan. Above all, they want something that they can do themselves. But for fans of Pecha Kucha, it's actually pronounced Pecha Kucha. And it comes from an ancient Japanese phrase meaning to knock one out. And there are many similarities to a 6.5 minute public wank, only this time there will be no feeling of joy, just one of self-loathing and impending gloom. So why are we doing this? Giving a talk is a job for good looking, the interesting and the inspired. People with the power to captivate audiences with phrases like, in terms of, and essentially speaking. So is this talk to be an exercise in confidence, being concise, or is it that sharing something with a group is a beneficial experience? It's probably a bit of all of those things, but it's the sharing aspect that interests me the most. It doesn't really, but just go with it. Sharing is good, sharing is caring, they said. As a kid, sharing was not caring, sharing was shit. As anyone with brothers and sisters will know, sharing was worse than not having the thing at all. Does she look happy? Fuck no. So why are we obsessed with it now? It's a question I can't answer. Probably because I don't know what I'm talking about. But I reckon it's probably got something to do with the internet and things like Facebook and stuff. I was late to sign up to Facebook. I much preferred the needlessly depressing Friends Reunited. It was only when a friend of mine told me that a whole new world of sex had opened up to him through something called poking. When I signed up, I thought this was the internet version of a game of tag, and I had been poking pretty much everyone I knew, including some of my girlfriend's friends. I had no idea that it meant you wanted sex, preferably bum sex. It became obvious that what people were sharing on Facebook was selective. Photos of my so-called friends, rather than building schools in Africa for children with no eyes or noses. They were helping birth rare llamas high up in the Andes, and going to trendy festivals dressed as something that is really funny, but really cool as well. So what was I sharing? I checked my photos to find out that I was a complete cock. Pretty much every photo, I'm pissed, sticking my tongue out, and making Latino gang signs. I'm seeing hip-hop videos. Except this one, which I think is a shadow puppet duck. So it was time I took responsibility and started taking sharing seriously. My tribute to Sankey there. He is also a bit of a cock. So, most days begin and end with no lasting memories in between. Most days have no impact on the course of a life. And yet we feel this need to share the boring stuff all the time. So as a sharing experiment, I'm going to share with you some stories that changed my life forever. I'm 9 years old, staring blankly at an awkward-looking girl named Daisy Braithwaite. I can't breathe because it's my first crush. I've not felt this before, so I tell my best friend. He gets the same coach home as Daisy, and the next day he gives me a note. I thought she'd written a love note, but I couldn't see any hearts to dot the I's in her bubbly, neat handwriting. There was just a detailed list of her disgust for me. A spiky-haired bowl of puke with big ears. Now I didn't want to breathe. I couldn't understand why my best friend was delighted. He delivered the payload and I was destroyed. In hindsight, the note meant she probably liked me, and I would never find out. Daisy had an epileptic fit while having a bath and drowned. That's what you get, bitch. I'm 13 years old and I'm having sex, except I am asleep. No, I'm not being raped. I'm having my first wet dream. A nocturnal emission, if you will. On holiday in France, the summer heat had forced me to sleep naked under a light sheet, and the dream was so vivid that it woke me up. I reached down to find all was not well. My personal belongings had been ransacked. All that was left was a fleshy pulp. A swarm of mosquitoes had spent the night dining on the sweet virgin blood that had been pumping through my tiny penis. Time and time again they plunged their proboscis into my fledgling erection for what must have been the best meal of their lives. A total of 32 bites were recorded. I'm 20 years old, nervously waiting in an STD clinic. The doc was a wrinkly old Chinese guy who looked exactly like Mr. Miyagi. I was daydreaming he was my sensei, training my penis back to peak performance with ancient wax-on, wax-off techniques. When my name was called. So I went into the examination room to see the most beautiful girl sat there. She was his student, not me. I was experiencing new levels of embarrassment as she began to examine me. He was barking orders over her shoulder. Pull back foreskin! I didn't know what to do with my hands, so I put them on my hips. I could tell this unintentionally masculine gesture made her uneasy. Rotate phallus 360! But something was stopping her from rotating my phallus 360. I couldn't stare at the ceiling much longer, so I peered down to notice a look of terror on her pretty face. And then I spotted it, the Bobby Charlton. A singular rogue pube found resting across the bell end, reminiscent of the famous comb over you see here. And there we were, frozen, in a mixture of fear and disgust. So the conclusion. There isn't really one, there's no real conclusion. Yeah, sorry there hasn't been any interesting facts like how birds share the same lunge structure as alligators. I guess the conclusion should be something about what and when to share, but it doesn't really matter, does it? You just do what feels good. Thanks.